Hello, everybody. Yes, vamps in space.
Behold.
This rock. Stellaris has actually been around for quite some time. Yes, just in time. Welcome. They've changed the background of the main menu each time they kind of have a major content patch out. I
Oh,
think
yeah?
I think this was when they put out the lithoids, which is essentially a rock people, and so they just gave us rock. I like the other one better, which was like a giant Death Star.
Real quick, I think you might have Discord or something minimized because it's saying you have the application minimized. There we go. Now I can see it.
Okay, yeah, no, I had the game minimized.
Gotcha.
It's the
Okay.
problem when I only have one monitor.
Oh, I see. I hadn't considered that.
All right, so quick rundown. Stellaris is kind of like a space 4X game, but I usually call it grand strategy because unlike, say, Civilization 6, there's kind of a level of abstraction, which will probably be easier to understand just to show you instead of trying to explain it. I'll go ahead and start off with showing just how you can kind of customize the race you start out with. Like you can see here, I've done a lot of. Okay, I think right about here. Yeah, every time it has like a phoenix next to it, it's a species I made. And so
Okay.
you can go into the settings and really tinker around. Like even before the Necroids patch came out, I actually tried this. Didn't like the name, so I changed it to this. And we can actually go in here, and you can see that not only can you change the appearance of your species to something humanoid, and this is just the appearance. Like I could
Yeah.
click one of these portraits and still have it be an organic species. And then with the species name, I did a little vampire thing here. To try and do, yeah. So to save us some time, I did go ahead and make our kind of evolved German vampires here. So I'm going to kind of run through the list to kind of introduce stuff that's specific to the Necroids patch, stuff I thought was a good translation of how we played Civ 6 and how that might carry over into Stellaris. So to start
Okay.
pretty much at the top, this is where you can kind of pick out not only what your people are named, but also what kind of planets they call and what kind of fleets they call. A lot of this is kind of just naming conventions when
Yeah.
you evolve, and then when you actually have your species, you can pick all these different traits. So it's kind of like what was that old game, Master of Orion, where you can kind of pick pros and cons to your civilization. And then you get this longer list here. So what I picked out for us is, first off, the thing that's very unique to the Necroids expansion, Necrophage, which is pretty much the closest I can get to having us not only have humans but have vampires in the game.
And this is like this was a recent thing, right?
Yes, this
Was
actually
this a
just
new?
came out last week.
Okay. Perfect timing.
So the thing we lost is our vampires are no longer just automatically immortal. Neither
Okay.
is our leader. But what we got instead was we now essentially have two species on Earth when we start the game. We have regular humans, which are these pre-patent species, and then we have vampires, which is, if you ever watched like The Strain, very similar. It's a parasite that once it merges with the host, in this case our pre-patent species, but we can get more later on, you get a vampire.
Okay.
And so the thing with having a necrophage is you're going to want slaves because you really rely on having a lower class to then feed to the necrophage and get vampires
Hosts,
out.
if you will.
Exactly. And so what I try to do is I made our vampires very strong, so if we ever have to make armies with them, they'll be great.
Excellent.
However, they'll take up more housing. By themselves, they don't breed, which is why we rely on having species to turn into vampires instead of just
Gotcha.
letting ours breed out. But they do live a very long time. Like the base necrophage adds 80 years to the species, and then I picked enduring, so we get an extra 100 total. And then resilient kind of breeds into very strong. Now, of course, we have our humans, which I made pretty much the worst we could imagine. Like I made them better at colonizing planets originally, and that's, kind of how you get your empire to spread. You find new planets and you colonize them. So the strategy I have right now, and I'll admit I'm not the best at Stellaris, is we want to seed humans or other kind of species we collect over time onto our planets, and then through a special building we can make, turn them into vampires.
Okay, so this is kind of like the I guess it's like kind of like this group that we're gonna need to kind of fuel our vampirism, kind of like they kind of exist to make us powerful.
Yeah, we at the end of the day we're vampires. The species that we're trying to kind of propagate are vampires, but we need hosts, and for hosts we have humans to start out with, and then whatever unfortunate species we run across.
Gotcha. Okay,
now when it comes to our and see, the only way you can get necrophage is to choose this specific origin, but you actually get a whole lot to choose from. Like, before the Necroids expansion, I just picked Prosperous Unification to symbolize our wars of unification.
Yeah, how we brought peace to our planet through our unique method.
But you can also get, like, Mechanist, which means you start out with robot population. You get Life-Seeded, which means someone really took an interest in you. Scion, which means... Oh, and this involves a whole other mechanic of the game, but essentially a very powerful empire already in the galaxy has picked you as their favorite child, and so they just keep spoiling you rotten. And then, when it comes to actually our empire, what made us the Eternal Empire, I had the choice between a few civics, which are just a lot like the species. You pick a couple of things to better fine-tune your nation, and then you pick your ethics, which are your guiding philosophies, and it's how you it gives you a few options in the game. For example, I picked Fanatic Authoritarian and Militarist, because you only get 3, and if you go with this first one, each of these are worth 1, and all the red ones are worth 2. So I figured Fanatic Authoritarian with Militarist probably best represented the aggressive German Empire we were making.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty close.
And so, as Fanatic Authoritarians, we get a stratified economy, which means we can kind of better adjust just what people earn depending on the position they're in, which I can explain better by actually opening the game. And we can enslave aliens, which we definitely need to feed our vampires.
Hell yeah.
And then Militarist, of course, just makes us a bit better at waging war, which, that was our MO.
Yeah, that seemed to be how we operated. And sure, we're jumping into maybe what you might consider a different theater of war, but I think we're ready to see how it works.
Yeah, and so a few other things I picked. Just get our flag, get our ship appearance. We can choose, actually, just like the picture, we can choose any of the ship types to represent. I picked the Necroids because they're the newest and they kind of look gothic. The one thing I would want to change is our ruler name. I think Kaiser works better.
Excellent.
And unfortunately, I couldn't give us that kind of fiery red Barbarossa look, but I tried to get as close to Barbarossa as I could.
He carries on at least the beard tradition pretty well.
Do I wish to replace it? Yes, I do want the Emperor to just be called the Kaiser. All right, and with that...
Scott's going to love knowing that our rulers are Kaisers.
Hey, unfortunately, he's the one who picked it. So let's see. Obviously, if we want like a short, easy game to kind of get into, there are this small galaxy, but the problem is a lot of this kind of fun stuff may get randomly generated out. So I'm going to go for medium just so we guarantee we have one of everything. Let's see, mid-game start. This is all pretty much automatic. Difficulty. Definitely don't want Grand Admiral. Let's keep it a Captain. I think Captain was pretty much synonymous with Prince for Civ 6.
Yeah.
And everything else, I don't want Iron Man mode on. I want to make sure I have plenty of saves just in case. All right, and start. So,
excellent.
Just want to check on chat. Have been able. Oh, and so the best thing about this, pretty much everything you can name. We could rename the Sol system. We could rename Earth if we want to. Every planet, every system, anything we have in our empire can be renamed.
Okay.
And so, of course,
if we can find our starting planet, like our Earth, essentially, is this the one we're leaving, or is this our home base? Like, are we spreading out from here, or
we are spreading out?
Okay.
There is actually an origin you can pick called Doomsday, which is your planet's screwed, get off, or you lose. But the one I picked, since we wanted the vampire thing, eliminates that. So this will definitely be our home base to expand. Really? I can't? All right.
Okay, because I was just gonna say maybe calling it Humanity's Lament as a homage to how we kind of named things as we destroyed them and left them.
Oh, if the vampires end up completely erasing humanity, I can definitely see us renaming Earth that. Anyway, we have this lovely origin thing. In the not so distant past, Earth was dominated by fairly unremarkable species. To all onlookers,
How true.
They would have seemed to be following a standard meandering course of development, with occasionally rapid periods of innovation interspersed with much longer periods of seemingly insurmountable setbacks. However, unbeknownst to them, their planet was home to a second intelligent species, us. For millennia, we, the Vamps, remained... Maybe we should just call them the Germans. Remained undetected by the planet's proprietors.
No one knew about Germany. He was just hiding.
A little more than vague rumors of terrors in the night. We were a fairy tale told only to scare misbehaving juveniles. But they were wrong to discount us. As the rate of technological progress quickened, so too did our infiltration of their society. When their fall came, it was swift and bloody. It took a few thousand years. We ruthlessly took control of the planet, our precursors reduced to subservience and gradual absorption into the vampire race.
This seems perfect. This is like
and I didn't write any of this. It's if you don't try and like get something really out there, it gels pretty well. And now that we've stolen their FTL travel, we can now take control of their empire. So this is us on Earth in Sol, and this is the galaxy as a whole.
Okay.
So there's a lot of room to conquer. But let me go ahead and... So as you can see with these little numbers in green, we're already partially exploiting this solar system as it is. We already have stuff on Venus. We have stuff on Titan giving us these materials in this case, and all the resources we gather are up here. We have energy credits, which is essentially gold, minerals, which is stuff you essentially turn into more specific stuff as the game goes on. It's kind of your baseline production resource.
Okay.
Food, which as organics need, is just something they consume. You have more of them, you need more food produced. Consumer goods, which is a lot like materials. You put consumer goods into something and you get something more advanced out. Like research uses consumer goods.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then
like
alloys is stuff you
resource.
use to build ships and star bases. And star bases, we have this first one here, is what you use to claim systems. Like the first thing to do in order to expand is to send out this science ship. And have it survey a system. And while it's surveying, it may find stuff we want to investigate, or it may just find more of these resources we want to exploit. Once it's done, we then send over our construction ship to build a starbase there, and once it's built, we have claimed the system. Meaning we can colonize it and do whatever we want in it.
It's kind of like building a city in Civ, I would guess. Okay.
So, the first thing you want to do is you really need to expand pretty fast. I know there are people out there who one city Civ games can go, oh, I just need one system, and they are much better at the game than I am. I need to build more science ships so we can survey faster, and more construction ships so we can claim systems faster. So the first thing I'm going to do is task our local production ship, I definitely want it to build more mining stations first, because as you can see, even if we're just trying to build research stations, we need minerals. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to hold off on that. But first, I'm going to send our science ship to, let's say, survey this system. And in the meantime, I'm going to set up our research. And then our research is, what's the best way to describe it? Randomized is probably best. You have these 3 texts to choose from. You pick one. And while that one is working, you can switch it back if you want, but once it's done, these 2 options will go away. And while they may come back, they may not.
Okay. So it's basically like we get to choose sort of a bonus, and the bonus that we pick, is it permanent? Like, do we keep it forever?
Yes.
While the others disappear? Okay.
So, and some of these things are like passive bonuses. Some like lead into other, like if they have this thing, it leads down like a path. For example, we want to build all death robots. For some reason, we had to dismantle our death robots when we took over the planet. If we want them...
Only so many resources on the planet. We
exactly.
had to shift them around.
If we want them back, we'll have to start with powered exoskeletons. While, you know, having mining stations be better is one thing, having us research all of these techs better is another. This is one that gives us a direct benefit and leads to robots, so I'm starting there.
I like that vibe.
Yeah, and we have that same choice for physics research, society research, and engineering research. So if I pull up in physics, hey, look, 3 new options. Fusion reactor, this is good, because if we're able to get this, we can manage our energy credit income better. And, you know, having more space gold is always for the best. And then, of
some
course,
space gold.
For society research, oh no, this one's interesting. So there is a whole other aspect of this game, traditions and relics. Traditions are more passive buffs you can give to your empire as time goes on, and the currency used to buy them is unity. So if you can get more unity, which you can get several different ways, this is good, because if you fill up one of these trees, not only do you get all of these passive buffs, you activate an ascension perk. An ascension perk is like a super bonus.
Ooh.
So it's definitely better to start down these trees, and probably eventually, even if it's like I'm playing fascist vampires in space, why would I want to invest anything in harmony or adaptability? You probably at the end of the day are going to fill out all of these trees to get all of the buffs and get all of the ascension perks.
Well, hey, we need harmony within our ranks.
This is true. So I think, because this is just going to let us build hydroponics in space and a building. I don't think we're going to be colonizing any buildings that won't let us build just normal farms, so I'm going to go with planetary unification first. Okay, so that's done. Back to Earth. And there's just a whole bunch of stuff to cover.
Yeah, like I love this game's concepts, but man, is it dense.
Yes.
But like,
but
it's so fascinating the stuff you can make out of it. So yeah. I understand why it's so dense.
It's definitely something that you're going to probably have a few games that you start out and either never finish or outright fail just to try to get a cap on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Now we have the individual planet manager, and the planets our colonies and planets are definitely the closest thing to cities that we have in this game. As you can see, not only do you have these special buildings you can build, and we only get so many slots depending on our population, we also have these districts. And each district provides you with one of the basic resources, whether it be generator districts for energy credits, mining districts for minerals, or agriculture districts for farms. City districts are unique as they're mainly there to make sure you have enough room for your population. They also give you some clerks, which give you amenities, which help with just general happiness. I think amenities is actually pretty much the same as it is in Civ 6. You definitely want to have a positive number.
Yeah, having a bunch means you got a happy population, and a happy population works better.
Exactly. So we only have one available job, which means if our population gets much higher, we'll get unemployment, which is going to make them unhappy. So for the building I want us to build, I think the alloy foundry is the best, because we're definitely going to want to up how many alloys we're getting, because that's a hard cap on how many ships we can build. If we don't have much alloys, we can't build more science ships, we can't build more military ships. So the minerals are going to be the hardest thing to get first. So I'm going to leave this slot empty for now. But I think we can finally unpause it, because the biggest difference from Civ 6 is that Civ 6, of course, is turn-based. This is, I guess, to kind of borrow a term from RPGs, real-time with pause. Time ticks at a certain pace, and I could like walk away from my computer right now and have time still progress. Or I could pause it. Or I could make it go a lot slower and then kind of just let everything play out in slow motion. For example, where's our science ship?
That's like another jump in this game that like I've only played like maybe like I don't think I've ever finished a campaign in this, but I know I've started at least a few, and that was another big intimidating factor to think about. Like with Civ, I can just be like, all right, I'm gonna think about this or set it down for a bit or do whatever or do it very passively. This is like, oh, I waited too long. Think those bad guys are here.
Yeah,
like and stuff has happened.
That's a definite tripping point, because there can be, oh hey, there's a colonizable planet here. We'll definitely check back on that when the science ship is done. Uh, Sometimes when the game has an important notice for you, it will force a pause, and sometimes it won't. So there can be times where you get an enemy fleet approaching. Oh, the enemy fleet's here. Oh, and the system's gone. Oh, and they're moving back into your territory. And it's like, I didn't even have a chance to click pause, game. What the hell?
Thanks, game, for letting me know.
You definitely have to have your finger on the trigger, and that's why, even though I'm sure most experienced players probably play at this fast pace, I usually dial it down to normal, or if stuff is really getting hectic, I go all the way back to slowest. Because there are times when you're up against an opponent and they're like 3 fleets going at your territories, and like I have to manage 15 different things at once. If I'm not pausing to do them, I'm doing it at the slowest pace imaginable. All right.
Real quick, speaking of pausing things, we've had a couple people sub and drop bits. I want to shout them out.
Oh, sure.
But you've been explaining the game really well.
Yeah,
so
no. Let me just dial this down, and I'll let you get to that.
Sure. Alaskan Hero, thank you for subbing. The Mighty Ryan, also thank you for your sub. 15 months. Cornet Chris with a Prime sub for 45 months. Saying 45 months. Always glad to support my favorite streamers. Good luck fighting or being the space vampires, guys. Thank you very much. Best Boy Minetta also gifted a sub to Ronin of Death, so thank you, Best Boy Minetta. They've gifted 66 subs. Holy cow. Oren Bloodstone, thank you for 7 months. And Kai111, thank you for the 10 subs, saying it's so rare I catch a live stream, and now I've caught them back-to-back days with Grant Civ stream last night and today. So that's awesome. Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Cryptical Cryptic with 500 bits and a tier 2 sub, saying Stellaris on TFS? Yes, please. That's exactly what we're giving to you, buddy.
All right. So all I've done so far is follow up on what I was saying in the beginning. Order more science ships to be built at our starbase and just start looking around. So the thing to note about necrophages in particular is that one of the game presets you can put in is how many habitable planets start near you. And those habitable planets are based on the time of homeworld you have. Like, our Earth is continental, so if we find continental planets, those are going to be the best ones for us to settle. But
we've got experience in them. We know how they work.
Exactly. But we could run into, say, an Arctic planet, which is not going to work well for us. But we can, if we find the right technology, terraform it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So what we do have here is a continental world. Let's see, 14. The number here is the total number of districts you can build on it. So the higher the number, the more stuff you can plop down, pretty much. Oh, and our first science ship is done. Now, the thing about some of these ships, you have fleets, you have planets. They can all have a leader. And a leader is just, a certain individual that has a certain set of skills. A lot like the governors, but instead of them giving us set bonuses, they're pretty much just people that provide a little bit of bonus depending on how they grow, because they level up like everything else in this game. So the one thing we need to have leaders on are our science ships. Without giving them a scientist to manage, they can't do anything. So okay. I'm opening up our menu to recruit. And the thing about scientists is if they have like a colored dot right here next to them, that means they're going to be better at researching technology than actually going out there and surveying stuff. So I want something with a kind of a gray circle here. And I have a choice. I can either get meticulous for a better chance of anomalies, and anomalies are random events you can stumble upon while surveying, or archaeologist, which is sometimes when they're surveying, they will find specific things that they can park over and then dig through, taking up a whole bunch of time, but hopefully when they're done, giving you either an item that you can actually use to give you a benefit, a lot like a relic from Civ 6, or they'll give you a whole bunch of tiny things you can kind of spend on stuff. So I think I'm going to want the archaeologist in case we come across any of those sites. I'll assign him to the ship. And hey, now you can go survey.
Makes sense. Oh.
All right. Earth is still doing fine, but we're still waiting for our minerals to tick up before we can start specializing the planet. And when this downtime, let me tell you about the fun stuff you can probably find out there. The most interesting thing I think you can find is a fallen empire, which, if you've ever seen a sci-fi show, is essentially the civilization that came here before you, had their time in the sun, and is now kind of on the outs. I watched Babylon 5, so my go-to is usually the Vorlons, because I like me some masked people. We are all Kosh. And so the Fallen Empires, when you first find them early on in the game, are just kind of in the way. You can't really mess with them because their fleets are so much more powerful than yours, and they have all this advanced technology, and they have a set agenda. And it's a certain number of them, but for example, you could run across a stagnant ascendancy, which just has the agenda of, do not put anything in a system that borders our territory. If you do, we will immediately declare war and take that thing out, and then we'll stop.
Okay, this gives me kind of city-state vibes almost.
Yes.
Or
yeah,
okay.
you know, that's actually a pretty good analogy. Imagine if city-states could fight back.
Yeah, this seems like more flavorful city-states and powerful.
Actually, yeah, we're not going to be colonizing anytime soon, because I'm pretty sure we're not going to have empty planets near us, so I'm going to go for prosperity, so our mining stations are a bit better. And then we have another science ship out. All right. Grab another guy. Anomaly research speed. That's pretty good. I don't have enough money to buy you yet. Oh, and here's another funny thing. You can just bring up this marketplace at any time. So I need 200 credits to hire that scientist. Oh, we'll get to you in just a sec. I don't have that money right now, but I can sell some of our food, which we are making positive income on, to make enough money to go back and immediately hire this guy. So go there, and now you can survey that system. Now, what our scientists at Bernard Star found was an anomaly, and this is one of those random events. We briefly detected some unusual energy readings emanating from this planet. It might not have been a glitch in our systems, or it could be a sign of something more. These anomalies have their own difficulty, and the difficulty can either have an effect on the random event you get after you research it, or it just adjusts how much time it takes for the scientist to research it. For example, the difficulty here is routine. It's just one level above the scientist right now, so it's only going to take him 180 days to do it. But that's time taken away from him surveying this system. So what I'm going to wait for is him to finish the system, and then if he happens to level up, which he probably won't, I'll have him research the anomaly, because hopefully that'll take a little less time.
Gotcha. You got to finish building what you're doing first before we're going to look into this new stuff.
Damn, I'm so sorry. You know what? You get the first naming rights. I didn't put your city name in Civ 6. I'll put your name in the stars in Stellaris.
There we go.
So I'm going to leave Earth and Sol as they are now, because I need a reference point when we get too big. And I think saving this for maybe the extinction of humanity being renamed Humanity's Lament is very poetic.
If that's how we're going to do it on Earth, we might as well take it to space that way.
Exactly. All right. Construction ship finished the first order. Now that our minerals are coming in pretty hard and fast, I'm going to have it go ahead and finish with the research station. Okay. So we found, like I expected, a primitive civilization on that continental planet here in Alpha Centauri. Yep, right there.
Sounds delicious.
So the thing about primitives is you have a lot of choices with them. You can, like the boring Star Trek Federation, plant an observation post above them and just get some passive research watching them develop. And they even get their own eras. Like at the moment, they're in the Steam Age. Or you can be aggressive with your observation, like abduct their cows and do active research on some of their citizens.
Hell yeah, let's give them some myths.
Yeah, and exactly. And if they're actually advanced enough that they're kind of synonymous with kind of late industrial or early modern age, you can just give them tech and adopt them into your empire, or have them be an independent empire. Like I could, if they were advanced enough, and they aren't, I could plop down an observation post, give them some tech, and then have them become their own civilization on the map.
Man, this is perfectly lining up not only with our Civ stream, but I've been slowly getting back into Animorphs and all this talk of aliens handing off technology. It's such a crucial thing in that book series. And now I just want to play this and be like, I'm gonna live out my Animorph fanfic in space.
You can totally do that.
I know.
Us though, we're going to enslave them. These poor
Okay, do
saps. These poor saps were chosen by their god to grow up here and be too close to the vampires. Okay, now you see this. Wow, Jesus, it's all coming in so fast. Now, yeah, we're having the small thing that says, "Hey, look, we found primitive aliens nearby. We're all aghast." I'm like, good, more food. But then we have a much more challenging anomaly, which means the bonuses we may get are better, but it takes over a year for this scientist to do it. So I'm going to definitely leave that be for now.
That seems a little long.
Yeah, there comes a point, and like I want to call the early game going into the mid game, where because you've encountered other civilizations that have closed their borders to you, your scientists can't keep exploring outwards. That's when I bring them back in to start going through these higher level anomalies.
Okay. Parsifal, thank you for the 500 bits, saying, speaking of Babylon 5, who are you? What do you want? I haven't watched Babylon 5, so I don't know if that means something to you.
That is the questions their fallen empires ask.
Ah, okay.
Their whole thing was, and spoilers for Babylon 5, was the fallen empires that stayed behind in that series were like, kind of, they were supposed to be caretakers. Like, hey, let's guide the younger races. And there were two that had very differing views on what that entailed. And it turned into a whole bunch of proxy wars between those two empires using the younger races. And so there came a point in the series where when humanity got wise to it, we're just like, well, piss off. And then they did.
Sounds good. And like what we'd do.
Yeah, me likey the Sheridan. All right. Oh, I keep forgetting that I paused it. Yeah, sadly, so for good or for worse, there's a lot of downtime in playing Stellaris, which means a lot more interaction with chat, but also a whole lot of staring at,
just looking at a space system, being like, I wonder what's going on down there.
Yeah, just imagining what maybe the Steam Age people are doing down here.
Wonder what the little people are up to.
Man, this is actually pretty good. Ooh, okay, and so. Another thing you get when you start up a game is that there's usually a precursor event, which means somewhere around your home system, someone littered a whole bunch of garbage. And
How dare that?
And that leads you down a research tree. Like, for example, we found the First League. And as you follow up on this mystery of the First League, you find out more and more about the First League. And then eventually it leads to a final event where you either, we found this hidden system of the Cybrex and it's a giant ring world around this solar system and only we can get to it. Sweet. Or you find a special planet, or you find a special relic. It's always a good thing to follow up on these precursor mysteries, but the problem is a lot of the things you have to follow up on are high level anomalies. So you sacrifice your kind of expansion to chase down these anomalies and hopefully get something cool. I, having played this game way too much, know that the First League usually leads us to a very nice system with a relic world on it, which is a world with not only a whole bunch of nice resources on it, but you can eventually turn it into Coruscant.
Hey, nice,
which is pretty cool.
Planet-sized city would be pretty dope.
Yeah.
And now we wait for the ships to finish their tasks.
Am I not? I could have sworn I had the music on. Because it's actually pretty, chill sci-fi music, but I'm not hearing it.
Yeah, I was going to say I wasn't hearing any music or anything, but I didn't know if that was...
I wonder if I...
Just because of how it was being streamed to me versus in the game.
Can't hear a thing. Yeah, neither can I. I don't know what I broke. Is it just the stream? Okay, that one's pretty good. I'm going to have you research that. Okay, finally. So we have enough minerals. I'm going to go ahead and build that alloy foundry I was talking about in the beginning. So that'll give us more alloys, which means we can build up our fleet and then start being aggressive.
People are saying the play button under the date is music or something.
Oh, you're right. The thing's closed. Why is that? It's locked up. I can't click. Clicking play does nothing.
Music has been outlawed in the necrophage.
Oh, you know what? I wonder if I wonder if it actually doesn't play if it knows the game is being streamed.
That seems odd, unless it's music that they know would get like claimed or something.
I'm gonna dial this down. I'm wondering if it's actually Discord.
Cryptic with another 500 bits saying, I'm sure this was mentioned before, but I wasn't here at the stream's launch. Are you guys playing with all the DLC?
As much so, I'm pretty sure the answer to that is yes. There may have been. There's a lot. This had the kind of the Crusader Kings problem I was talking about back during the Civ stream, where they put out a whole lot of content for it. I don't know if I gobbled all of it up, but I think I did. So, especially, of course, the newest Necroids pack, since that's what we're getting. I think, okay, disable sounds. I'm pretty sure that's Discord sounds. I'm going to turn that off. It still doesn't want to play. That's annoying.
Maybe pull up a like a YouTube playlist or something to just have minimized of space.
I
Chill
can
vibe.
definitely do that, but first we'll probably be building more than using the upkeep, so take that. Nuclear devastation. There's a whole lot of reading here, folks. I don't have the windpipes for it. In the archive, this may be something where you want to pause if you want to read, because every time we investigate an anomaly, we get a short story.
There's going to be a lot of lore.
Yeah, so as you can see, this anomaly provided some extra resources to that system. And I'm going to turn that down again and then pull up some music in the background, because definitely listening to just us talking will not go over well.
Nah, come on. It's the most exciting kind of audio. Just two voices, chatting in the silence. In space, no one can hear your music.
All right, let's go with this. Grant, I don't think you'll be able to hear this, but this will at least be something for the stream to pick up.
That's all right. I've got my iTunes playing some video game music at very low volumes.
Awesome. All right. Now I'm just going to retask these science ships to keep... Actually, you go ahead and research that anomaly. You... Okay, definitely way too much time there. Let's go ahead and start bothering the natives. So I'm going to send that construction ship down to build a starbase and claim Alpha Centauri for the first system in the Eternal Empire.
Yes. As we grow, you thought our planet was going to be our extent.
What type of galaxy? This is a 600-star, 2-arm spiral galaxy, which means there are going to be a few choke points. For example, between these two arms, there's only this kind of hyperlane. When the game first released, because this is an interesting story, you could actually choose which kind of FTL drive your civilization started with. If you picked hyperdrive, you get this, or you get this network of lanes that can serve as choke points or highways for you. You had a warp drive, which meant these lines weren't here, but your ship had a range, and within that range, you could immediately jump to any star within it. Like, for example, for this one, it may have been able to jump to all the stars in a circle, probably about this big, maybe a bit bigger. And then you had wormholes, which you got one automatically in your home system, but you were pretty much relegated to cross your fingers and hope you find something. And if you do, it's instantaneous travel. And if you don't, it's pretty slow. But then they finally went, that's a bit weird to kind of balance out. Everyone starts with a hyperdrive, and if you want to get a more advanced drive, you're going to have to play the game for a while. So we might be able to discover one of those other advanced forms of interstellar travel, but at the moment we're all stuck with this. So we know if we wanted to say, if there was an enemy empire right here, we could hold that system and they would have to pass through it to get
They have to go through. Okay, I see. So this is like, basically these are the only roads, at least at the start, anyone can take to get through different points.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
So there's a lot of stellar geography to map out. All right, 3 science ships going. we could build another construction ship, but I think for now we'll actually pop open the ship designer, because yes, the units you make can be customized too. Ugh. If you thought the game so far was dense.
It's like a thing where it's like I'm not against this level of like amount of customization and stuff, but it's like I know I've already spent like 1,000 hours in Civ or something, and it doesn't have this aspect to it. I just see the endless gaze of this game just ever growing of the amount of things I can do in it.
Yeah, it's not even it's kind of hard to learn, difficult to master.
Yeah, it definitely has a high barrier to entry, but like I think it's because there's just so much cool stuff you can do.
Anyway, ship designer. So, it's luckily they start you out kind of easy, because the bigger ship you get, the more of these kind of sub areas you can pick. At the moment, we can only pick the whole setup of the ship. We either get a missile boat, an interceptor, or a picket ship. When you have like a battleship, there'll be 3 of these up here you can pick, and each one of those comes with their own little thing down here of what weapons to put on what hard points, and then what things over here that also do things. I cheap out. I just let the thing auto upgrade and be done with it. I do turn off auto generate designs because it's not the best at picking. But for the time being, the interceptor it gave me right here is an okay starter. But what I also add to the equation is a missile boat, because the nuclear missiles you start out with, much like the nukes in Civ, go through shields, which means there's a whole defense mechanism they ignore, and then do extra damage to the hull. And if the hull reaches 0, even if it still has shields and whatnot, the ship blows up. So I like this Corvette design, and I usually make whole fleets out of them. So the first thing I usually do when the game starts is I pull up the ship designer, and I make a gunboat. And then just in case it runs into something with shields, I give it a gun. All right, and this, you know what? I'm gonna make this the first thing in the game you guys name, because we can name ship designs.
All right.
I think you can name individual ships, but we'll have like hundreds of them at the end of the game, and I'm not sure I want to name every single ship, but I'll at least give you guys the class names to design. And Tam, since I accidentally ignored your city name, I'll let you name my favorite Corvette type.
You were passed over, so use that new power.
All right. This is the Tooth Hurdy.
It always runs on time.
Tooth Hurdy ship. Save. All right. That means we should have 2, and that's perfect. Whoops. No, I didn't want to do that. Go away. Did I delete it? Tooth Hurdy. Got it.
The brave vessel Tooth Hurdy we sent into space.
Oh, well, we can definitely rename the fleets. So individual ships, like actually, you know what?
But it was the discovery of the Tooth Hurdy ship that got us this kind of travel.
Yeah, because you can actually go in. Yeah, I could go to this single Corvette in this fleet of 3 Corvettes and rename it if I wanted to. That's way too granular, and that's probably going to slow us down a lot. But I think what I can do is the ship classes, the fleet names, and the civilian ship names. So, Grant, if you do me a big favor, let's go ahead and rename our science ships. We have 3 of them. So if you are a sub, go ahead and pitch us names for science ships, and I will rename them.
I'll keep my eyes peeled. Oh, jeez, I'm gonna be late for my 230 class ship. All right, I'm seeing Event Horizon.
All right, the ISS Event Horizon.
We have Catherine.
All right.
And Salt is Salty. Thank you to MSU Bill for the Event Horizon, Restless Rascal for Catherine, and Ronan of Death for Saltus Salty.
The Event Horizon is a good name because there's a tech you can learn which will allow your science ships to jump anywhere in the galaxy as long as you can actually target it. But they vanish. They're gone for almost, depending on the distance, they can be gone for years before they just show back up.
It just warped and we just never saw it again. We didn't know what to do.
The one thing I'm kind of aiming for in the early game is to fill out one of these trees so we can pick the Ascension perk that will allow us to raid planets. That will allow us to start getting slaves. So
Excellent.
For the time being, these guys on Alpha Centauri, or actually Blooming Fields, as they've chosen to name their planet.
The fools.
Yeah.
We'll be reaping those blooming fields soon.
Exactly. And so we have a choice when we raid. We can either raid all the way down to one population and leave, which means they'll still have control of the planet, and they can, over many, many years, grow back to a large number that we can raid again.
Basically, we give them a near extinction event and leave, and then just be like, all right, we'll check back in when they build up more and do this all over again.
Or we can pretty much steal all, say, 16 of their population and then free the planet up for us to colonize. So pretty much enslave them all, then take the planet for humans to build up for us.
I kind of like that idea. I like us just being like, no, we're gonna move our human hosts around the universe and have them propagate because that's what they're good at.
Oh, and speaking of humans, let me double check. Yes, so our homeworld starts with this Chamber of Elevation, which is essentially our Buddhist church. When we build one of these on a planet, we get, I'll come back to you in a moment, we get these necro fight jobs, which take up 3 population. At the end of 10 years, these 3 necrophytes, which are currently human, will turn into vampires, and that's how we expand our core species. We build these on planets. We eventually start taking over the population. There are times where if the human population, say on this planet, isn't growing fast enough, eventually we will just turn everyone here into vampires. Which doesn't have a downside, but with our slow breeding means the population will not grow very fast.
Yeah, that'll kind of plateau.
An armed vessel in orbit of this planet, abandoned military spacecraft. Ooh, free spaceship. Send a science crew. All right, so that unlocked a situation. So if I go over here to our situation log, track on map. So yeah, and this also keeps track of our anomalies. That way we don't have to like, oh, where was that like level 3 anomaly that I saw a while ago? I can go back to pick something. All right, so you research project, and then hey, if nothing goes wrong, go back to surveying.
Surveyor, I don't remember what cities got destroyed by meteors last stream.
Oh yeah, they were at least. I feel like there were at least 2.
Yeah.
No, it was. We only lost 1 city, but they also kept hitting districts.
Yeah, we kept getting like different chunks of cities wiped out. I can't remember any. I can't remember which. I think only one like palace actually got destroyed.
Oh yeah, I guess I can also name people. So many. This is for all of you who felt bad that we passed over your names for Civ 6. Don't worry, there are plenty of opportunities now. For example, who wants to name Alpha Centauri?
Do we have a volunteer to name Alpha Centauri? All right, first sub I saw name something. Well, Tam, you already got a name. Never mind. You got to name this stream. We're gonna try and hand these out a little bit more.
All right, wait. Darkstar, did Dith already name something?
I don't think so.
All right, Darkstar it is. So Alpha Centauri, despite having 3 stars in it, now Darkstar.
This is Darkstar, the 3 stars of Darkstar.
Actually, can we? Okay, yeah. So if we don't claim the system, we can't do anything here.
MSU Bill with 500 bits saying this game is like an onion. There are just so many layers.
There
It's true.
are. I hope people get interest. I hope my very dense explanation at the opening does not scare you away. This is a fun game to learn. I remember like the first game I made, a robotic species that kind of cared for humans, essentially the nanny state but with robots, and I completely ruined it because I did not realize that I was emphasizing food way too much for a species that didn't eat, and so my energy credits went to the negative, and I kept having to sell minerals, food, consumer goods.
You tried to become the galaxy's grocery store.
Exactly. Ooh, we unlocked the nanomachine tech. Our scientists found a recording of someone releasing nanobots and killing everyone. Now they want to look into it too.
That seems like something we should probably check out.
Yeah, and so that's the one kind of addendum to the research system is that if you find a tech, it remains in the selection. Like if I don't want to feel like every time I click this, it almost resets it. But yeah, see now nanomechanics is glowing, which means it's always going to be here.
Our robot army is always forthcoming.
I actually did a test game with this same empire just to make sure I didn't create a civilization that was completely unworkable. Their precursors were actually psionics, so I was able to make our vampires telepathic by like 50 years into the game. Are we going full Necron now? We can if we want. Like, I'm at least going to try and get us robots since we ended the Civ 6 game with death robots wandering the Earth.
We were vampires who realized that it was easier to maintain machines than it was hosts. Or thralls. Whatever vampires get. Ghouls? I never quite understood that. How that sometimes happens.
I mean, so like in Hellsing, which is something we unintentionally found ourselves in, they were ghouls. But, you know, it could be a thing of all ghouls are thralls, but not all thralls are ghouls. Let's build up our fleet a bit. We have enough alloys for it. So the easiest way, if you have a fleet that's already in existence, also at the same time, hey, who wants to rename this fleet?
Hey, all right.
Add a ship design to it like this, and then just start. Well, I said add design to the fleet. Don't reinvent them. Why'd you do that?
All right. Parsifal wants to name the thing Nosgoth. Nosgoth.
GTH? Or is there no?
Goth.
Okay, Nosgoth.
Yes, Nosgoth.
Alright. The Nosgoth fleet shall be full of my 230 torpedo boats.
I love it. I am much less organized than Quinn. When naming convention comes up, I'm not keeping lists. I'm looking at chat, and when I see people with the little sub badge throwing names out, I'm basically like grabbing from a hat. But I'll try to make sure I keep track of who names things so I don't give people repeats.
And to at least keep things manageable, I'm only going to ask for names when there's something to be named.
Yeah, I know we've got tons of things we technically could name.
Alright, you're done. Let's have you start. I must admit, I'm kind of, there's not a lot of interesting stuff around us so far.
Yeah, I was hoping we'd meet some aliens to at least have a little bit of a chat with.
Well, oh, you know what? While we do that, we do actually have some decisions to make regarding what kind of... So I immediately can get eyes glazing over after seeing this, but the one thing I want us to know is how are we going to react to finding alien life, like intelligent spacefaring alien life, because we have a choice. When we find first contact protocol, when we first find aliens, we do not know how to talk to each other. We actually have to research this new alien we've discovered in order to actually talk to them and open diplomatic communications. So we can either treat them peacefully, meaning if they come into a system with our military ships, they won't attack automatically, or we can be aggressive, which means if we find your ships and we can shoot at them, we're shooting at them. Obviously, that means if we finally learn to talk to them, they'll probably be mad. But it looks like the game by default, because of our aggressive civilization traits, already gave us aggressive. But we
like,
can
hey,
change
we think
it.
this is probably how you want to play it. I mean, when we were on Earth, we weren't immediately aggressive. That wasn't our MO. But I don't know if that's like, I don't know. I don't want to use the term easier in this game, but
So,
like, I feel like in Civ, it's like, no, if you try to run and attack someone, there's so many things to backlash that you, even if your goal is to dominate, that's almost never the best choice.
All right. That's fair. In fact, one of the reasons I set up our Eternal Empire like it is that there are a few kind of options when you're creating the nation. For example, with the traits I picked, I could have made the Eternal Empire barbaric despoilers, which, you know, barbaric, immediately offensive.
Yeah.
We were classy in our takeover of our planet. But that is you can immediately raid planets. You don't have to get that technology I was talking about earlier. But all the nations you come across immediately don't like you and will not enter into treaties with you. And I figure that's actually eliminating a very interesting part of the game, is the politics you can play.
Exactly. I feel like we definitely played a bit of the politics game, even though it was normally in favor of just, like, we really found one politician who would listen to us, but I feel like that's how we played.
All right, let me just boost my mic a bit, since apparently it's hard for some people to hear me. Okay, back to the game. Yeah, in fact, in the test game I was doing, when I got the Internal Empire to a good size, I actually formed a federation with enough nations that essentially blocked out a good third of the galaxy to just ourselves, and that's a pretty good power block. And that kind of can create a situation where if you're able to garner enough political power and influence, you can very much pull in "I am the Senate" against your allies and say, well, you made the mistake of making me President Ono forever, and I'm going to use our fleets to do whatever I want, and you're just going to have to sit there and enjoy it, or else I'll just eat you.
If you didn't want my tyrannical rule, you should have thought about that when you voted for my peace accords.
That was actually the joke they played in the Federation's trailers they were making. Is the first one was we have created, it's essentially what you would imagine the founding message of the Federation to be to their constituent members, where it's like, we have created a bright new tomorrow, and then they have this sinister ship looming into the distance right as the trailer ends. And then when the patch came out, it came back with one of the people you actually see in the first trailer going, well, what choice did we have but to join your federation or starve? Well, now I've altered the deal, and pray I don't alter it any further, because I've got this giant ship behind me that will blow you all up. And it very much changed it from hopeful to, oh no, your ship's going to get wrecked.
This was a threat.
Yes. That was a very, very good turn. Paradox likes having fun with some of their stuff.
That's cool.
Like for Crusader Kings 3, their announcement trailer was a guy sitting next to a crib going, oh, when you grow up, you'll command armies, you'll go to war. Too bad you won't grow up. And you, as the guy walks away, he leaves like a carved figurine of a bear next to the baby, and it turns out he just put a snake in the baby's bed and it killed it.
Nice.
And then when the release trailer came out, it was this dead baby's younger brother going, yeah, so your brother was going to do this stuff, but you're gonna have.
But now
to
it's
do
your
that.
turn.
Yeah, now you're gonna have to do it for him. And it shows
Also,
like the same guy showing up and he gets killed.
Good call, Andy Rev in chat saying President Ono is totally a Star Wars character.
He was one of the chancellors, the Old Republic.
President Ono. Welsh Dan 15 asking, have you had any particular runs in this game that you enjoyed, Quinn? Like, was there a fun storied space empire you built?
So the one game I was actually able to take all the way to the end game without feeling like I had kind of just gotten so big I couldn't fail, was a game where I essentially did try to play the Federation, but with standards. Like, if I came across a barbaric species that just like, we eat babies, they would say no thanks.
All right, we're VoIPing these guys.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way I can enlighten these guys, and so I gobbled up a good probably third of the galaxy myself, and then the Fallen Empire I happened to border decided to awaken, which is a fun thing Fallen Empires can do when they finally decide to stop being decadent and to be aggressive. And so that was a war that lasted me all the way until an extra galactic threat showed up. And you know, going back, it was kind of disappointing because I was essentially gaming the system. Like, I was taking advantage of the fact that the AI would not prioritize its systems well. So I was able to kind of win against the Fallen Empire with a war of attrition. And then by that point, I was strong enough where when I could finally position everything against the invaders, it was a curve stomp. And
so you just built yourself kind of just too big to fail at that point.
Well, so yes and no. The Awakened Empire made it dicey because I was essentially fighting a two-front war. I had these invaders coming out, which I knew the longer I didn't deal with them, the stronger they were going to get. And then I had the Awakened Empire, which, while dumb in their deployment, had fleets that were usually about 50% more powerful than the fleets I was throwing at them. Was Federation the expansion they introduced the Planet Killer ships in? No, the Planet Killer ships came in I think it was called Armageddon, an earlier expansion. The Federation one added this just like super capital ship that you could move around, and it could essentially act like a mobile shipyard. Apocalypse, that was it.
I like Restless Rascal's question. Like Civ, are there specific win conditions in this? I actually don't know like what winning this game looks like, other than I'm assuming there's a domination-esque, you just kind of become the strongest military power and kill everybody. But I'm sure there are other ways to do it.
There's a domination victory, and there's essentially a score victory where I think once the clock reaches 2,750, whatever arbitrary date they've set, the game pretty much ends, tallies the scores, and say, oh, hey, you win because you were the best. However,
you just had a good civilization.
Yeah. Dangerous wildlife. Oh, hey, we found... What planet is this?
Just a quick note. I've seen one or two more people say that you might need to up your mic just a tiny bit more.
Okay. Just at that point, I'm maxing it out.
Blast it.
That's as loud as it's gonna get. Okay. Feroxshot. Oh wait, we found another primitive civilization. Okay. I don't know why it was. Why was it talking about this stuff about a planet we don't own? It's because it was this planet. All right. So, anyway, I was talking about the victory conditions. There is, I forget which one of these it is, but there is something I can pull up which says, oh hey, this is how close you are to winning. Now, and I have many hours into this game, so it does not bode well when I'm just trying to find...
That's right. How do I win? Seeing it's a tab under the situation log.
Oh, yep. And look, it's called victory. Don't I feel like a fool? Yeah, see, so when we find more people, it ranks us. But even now, at the start of the game, we're apparently rank 10 against 9 other who knows. And so yeah, at 2,700, someone we don't know will win the game.
Okay.
There are other ways to bring the game to an end through kind of emergent events. Like, you could make your race psionic, and they can make a deal with the Shroud, and that will seclude you into a place in the galaxy while suddenly beings from another dimension invade, and they'll leave you the last one standing, and that technically ends the game. But it's harder to, of course, describe.
Yeah.
Okay, alright, well, we do have another system for people to name. This time as Weary.
Alright, start throwing your names, and I'm going to look at chat, and the first one I see, not necessarily the first one who posted, just the first one that sticks out as a name to me. Hey, I like Orin Bloodstone's Haifong, Heifong.
Alright, Haifong. Is that Outlaw Star? That makes me think of Outlaw Star.
It sounded kind of familiar, but I've never seen Outlaw Star.
Oh man.
Yes, it is. They say.
Nice. It's been a
That's
long
a show
time
I've
since I've
thought
seen
about
that.
watching.
All right, we finished the research project, which means now we're getting more Unity, and now we have a new choice. Well, this one's tempting. Naval capacity from soldier jobs. Naval capacity is definitely something we're gonna scratch up against as our empire grows. But I definitely want to make sure. Actually, yeah, 82 months. But this one unlocks biological path. Oh, yeah, we definitely want to make our vampires better. Let's do genome mapping. Find out how we work.
See what our DNA is like.
Yeah, let's crank this up to fast. Yeah, you go ahead and search those clouds. All right, exoskeletons. Okay, looks like the next thing in the robotics path hasn't turned up yet. But let's go ahead and make our guns a bit better. Ooh, that one's gonna take a while. No thanks.
We made our guns better for diplomacy.
It's called gunboat diplomacy. Duh.
Speak softly, carry a big ray gun.
Okay. Actually, you know what? We didn't rename the construction ship, so if we want to get another ship name in.
More names. You know, a bunch of these are still on screen. I like Jubberwocky's Harrowhawk. Harrowhawk. So Harrowhark. Harrowhark.
All right. I think okay. Yeah, I know. I just realized the Discord sounds I disabled. Okay. One moment. I'm gonna get that back up. Turn that off. Okay, back to that. Now you bounce over to... I definitely want to make sure these primitives are inside our sphere of influence. Catherine. Let's have you head down here. So the thing about black holes, they don't usually have much stuff in that system, but they can contain what is called an L-gate, which is a Fargate.
Goes fog.
Yeah, it's a teleporter. There are two kinds of these things in the game. There are normal gateways, which are just like wormholes. They connect 2 points in the galaxy. You go through one, you end up somewhere else. The L gates, they can be scattered throughout the galaxy, and they all end up in one place. And that's a star cluster that you don't actually see right now outside the galaxy. And that cluster can contain interesting things. Sometimes it contains just a whole bunch of nice planets that you can take over and kind of have a nice little small state of your empire kind of protected from the events of the galaxy as a whole. Or it can contain a Grey Tempest nanite swarm, which immediately storms out of all the L-gates in the galaxy and begins trying to eat everything. Essentially get a Grey Goo scenario.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. Every time I've opened the L-gates, I've gotten that result. It's a great way to distract empires if you're dealing with a bunch of guys that are stronger than you, because if you start the event, your gate is protected for a little bit. They'll go through all the other L gates except yours. I've done that once, because unfortunately, it doesn't last. And when the Grey Tempest decides to set its sights on you, it sends just as strong a fleet through your gate as it does everyone else. And if you're not strong enough, God help you. I've lost.
So it's one of those things where you're like, if you're using it as a distraction, you're probably not in a position to fend it off when it comes looking your way.
Yeah. I mean, there may be a situation where that might pay off, but it's narrow. It's very much a situation where you think, I know you're not strong enough to deal with the Grey Tempest, but if I'm afraid of you, then I shouldn't open the gate either. The only time the only time I did it when I knew I wasn't strong enough to fight against the Grey Tempest is that other nations can open the L-gates as well. And you definitely want to be the first one, because at least gives you a small reprieve.
I see. I like that I know so little about this game that people could be totally joking. MSU Bill says there's also a chance some dragons will exit the gate. Is that a thing?
Probably.
That'd be awesome.
I've never had that happen myself. I just know there is a limited number of events that can spawn once you open the L gate.
Oh, we discovered space dragons. We're fucked.
Well, you can even discover space dragons without opening the gate.
Oh, good.
Because,
okay, if space dragons are just the thing, then I'm excited.
there are solar systems that can contain a space dragon of some sort, and it's like, well, you need a, like, for example, you see how our fleet has this 410 next to it? That's how powerful it is. Mm-hmm. You can have a space dragon in some system that says, oh, you want to beat me? You're going to need like a 50k fleet to come in here and kill me.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That's definitely, that's how they kind of scale the threats. Like before,
that's their barbarians.
Yeah.
You have space dragons that is just, well, no one can control these things.
Yep. They're definitely, they try to place obstacles at certain points in the game where it's like, well, okay, now you're bullying everyone around you, but none of you can beat the space dragon. Then, oh, okay, you beat the space dragon, but here are invaders from another dimension that get stronger the longer you don't deal with them.
I don't know why I just assumed this game didn't have the concept of creatures that exist independently in space. I was like, what? There's no way. I'm sure we'd find a planet with dragons on them.
Well, it looks like we're finding a whole lot of primitive civilizations to turn into slaves when we can.
Excellent.
We also have another system. So, any names, any takers for Bernard's Star?
All right, we got another star to name, people. Start throwing them out. Also, good night, Tam. Looks like you're leaving. Or someone's leaving. Wait, Ronan, you've already said something, and so have you, Jubberwocky. You almost got in. Insidious production with Los Staros.
Like that? Oh.
Yes. Oh, shoot. All right. Omega Syntax. Next time for Beta Symptari.
We might make that serious. That's definitely going to be the next system I claim.
I know I said I wasn't keeping lists, but I will put that one on deck just because I like it so much. Ronan, I thought you named one of the ships. If I'm mistaken, I'll go back and give you Dale on something. Or fleets.
I could have sworn we had another primitive civilization here. It popped up while I was... Ooh, ancient life pod. Okay, yeah, we found 4. There are 4 primitives, but I only see 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. Where's the 4th one? Where are you? Okay. Oh, there are 2! Oh, jeez, there are 2 primitive society... 2... Imagine if we had this in real life. That would be weird. These guys grew up on a tomb world. Yeah, we have 2 completely independent primitive species in this one solar system.
They were neighbors. They just didn't know about each other.
Well, they're about to when we enslave both of them. So, congrats. You have now found out that you 2 were actually living side by side in the stars.
Welcome to the neighborhood. You 2 get to know each other and your shared misery under our boot.
Now, please build this temple to our brilliance.
Celebrate each other's art and culture for the brief moments you have individuality.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and earmark Sirius as Beta Centauri.
Excellent.
Oh, wait. Leviathan down. Thorough scans have revealed the cause of Pagol 3's odd metal composition. The planet is the crash site of dozens of massive spaceships, larger than any... Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of boring. I was hoping we had actually found a living one.
Tisk tisk.
Yeah, so the space dragons and everything like them are all kind of grouped into this Leviathan category. So if it says, like, Leviathan sighted, then we know we found one.
That's like giant space creature.
Oh, okay, we had our first elevation ceremony. Ever since the Vampiran takeover of Earth, the transformation of humans into vamps, yeah, that's the plural of our species, has been shrouded in ritual. Once every 10 years, a date which is rapidly approaching, the apprentices gather in the Chamber of Elevation for a special ceremony. What exactly happens to them is a closely guarded secret known only to a select few. It's an orgy. But when they emerge, they do so as vamps. Let the preparations commence.
You come into our chambers, something happens, you come out different. All right, if we went to space and discovered a planet that was almost exactly like Earth, but just vampires were real and were a known thing, how upset would you be that that's all space offered?
Wow, I don't know. I don't think I'd exactly be disappointed, but it would just be, well, this is a problem.
Like it's just like it's like they have many of the same problems as Earth. They're like they messed up their environment and shit, but it's just they also have the added threat of like, and there's vampires.
I feel like it's almost like the moon's haunted sort of thing. Went to the moon, it's haunted. What? Moon's haunted.
We gotta go home. We thought we could expand in this direction. Turns out it's tougher.
Like
yes,
this?
Beta Centauri. Let me check for the message real quick, just to be sure. They don't have the U in Ari. There we go.
The sub is always right.
Exactly.
Do
I will
not
always
take
it
that
the
out of
way it was typed.
context. Alright, we did our first necrophage ritual, so when I go back to Earth, we will find 3 more vamps than there were last time.
Delicious. Essentially, we can view when they become vamps. That's like full-fledged vampire. Like vampirism has clearly spread through these people, but it's like when they become their own vampire is when they get to leave.
Yeah, you can easily say, like, for the thing is, what we currently are treating humans as, let's see, species, empire. Yeah, so the humans are our indentured servants, which means they can do a lot of stuff, but they are definitely less than the vamps. Mm-hmm. Like, they live in decent conditions, which is all the way down here instead of utopian abundance, which gives
we take care of our food.
Yeah, they're happy. They can even, like I said, colonize planets on their own, and we'll show up later to eat them. They can even serve in the military. They have no population controls, no migration to clothes. They can go where they want, colonize planets, do everything, but they're not full citizens. They are still slaves.
Look, you guys get to find your own planets, have your own fun, make a little history for yourselves, and then we'll show up and let you start it all over.
All right, Hitamar, another solar system to name.
All right. Give me your names. Give me your best titles. Banana Render with Flavor Town, the return. I like it. We can have a new Flavor Town system.
Oh, I think we found our first potential colony for humans. Okay, so you see that it's called an ocean world and it has 17%, 70%, which means
Yes.
if we click on it, humans can live here pretty well, but it is kind of more expensive than if we had put them on a continental planet. Because if oh, that's right, I don't have it in my borders. If I go to humans, you see they have a continental preference, which means the further you get away from a continental planet, the less they're really good at living there.
Gotcha.
So,
Basically puts it on like a scale, and it's like, all right, you're a bit closer to continental than something else.
yeah. So for our first maybe offspring, it might not be best, especially since we have all of these. Like, what kind of planet are you? Continental?
Continental.
Yeah. And how about these two?
They're just busy being inhabited, but we
Okay.
can deal with that.
Oh, you know what? I think I get the story here. Yeah, no, I got this. The fact that these two are tomb worlds, these are post-apocalyptic planets, meaning for some reason the ecosystem on this world collapsed. I'm pretty sure this is like hinting these guys already had their time and then they went to war and nuked each other back to their primitive state.
Okay. We're seeing the closing or the new beginning story of a race
Yeah.
or pair of races.
What I want to do here is I was having us expand this way because of all the primitives, but I might once we take Iolum, Lolum, that's definitely an I, so I think Iolum.
Eolam.
Once we take that, I may pivot us back over to start seeing if this is worth colonizing. And in fact, let's go ahead and set several of those surveys up in order.
Breaking message from space. Thank you, Coop894 for the sub. That's 27 months on a streak. Thank you.
Oh, in fact, as welcome for that sub, do you want to name a construction ship?
Coop, name us a ship. Your timing was too perfect, so you get dibs. I'll wait patiently for you to respond.
I'll see if I can't open this. All right, so while Coop's thinking of that, we finished our prosperity tree, which means we can pick an ascension perk. And because we're pretty much dead set on getting slaves, I'm forced to take nihilistic acquisition as our first one, which means now, if I go over to the Nosgoth fleet, I can change their orbital bombardment to raiding and have them go over to Blooming Fields. And now we can start stealing their people.
Take it. All right. Coop has not responded, so I'm gonna take their sub message as the name, and that's just the Pog face.
All right, I'll take it. Just Pog, not like Pog.
Yeah,
Man.
just Pog.
All right. Where can I get this mod? Looks cool. I'm not. There's no mod. This is actually just the Necroids expansion pack. Well, expansion's too generous of a word. I'll explain this in a minute. It's just the Necroids content pack, which adds a few things to the game on top of new ship design. Well, in fact, yeah, where's the Knockoff fleet? Wait, close. I forget what buttons do. You can see we got this kind of gothic.
Look as we travel.
Yeah, gothic look to them as they fly through.
I mean, if I saw those ships coming at me from space, I would immediately be on edge.
Yeah, I definitely like the giant open mouth that is the bow of the ships. All right, and they'll just... so the thing is, I think I haven't had much chance to play this out. The stronger the fleet is, the faster they pick up slaves. So this may still take a while, but it's a good thing for them to do while we don't really have anything else for them to do. Okay, you're done with Flavortown. Go ahead and... Okay, you're already building. You go over here and build one there. Anyway, yes, so the factions, that just popped up. So, as long as you are not playing like a hive mind or a kind of machine consciousness, eventually you will get, like everything else in the world, politics. And these parties will auto-generate, and they'll have their own things that make them happy or make them sad. If you make them both really happy with good approval, they will give you extra influence, which, like everything else in the game, is a resource you can use for certain things. Actually, every time we claim one of these systems with a starbase, we've been spending influence. So it pays off to make them as happy as you can. If there's a political faction that shows up that says, we don't want robots, don't build robots, I think I may just ignore them. Because I definitely want us to have the most fun with the game without like trying to min-max everything. But that does mean we will get less influence. For example, the Martial Supremacy Alliance has two issues. Local rivalry, which is something I can explain when we find another empire. At the moment, we can't do what they want, so we're losing their approval. And then Imperial Hegemony, installing ourselves as the overlord of one or more foreign powers. If we uplifted one of these primitive species, we might be able to do that, but they're all too primitive, so we can't. So unfortunately, this party just kind of doesn't like how things are going right now.
So this might be someone who diplomacy for us might not work with.
So the thing is, rivalry is technically diplomacy. And it is when we find another nation out there that we're like, hey, we don't like you, and you don't like us, and that's fine. Because having a rivalry actually not only would please that faction, but also gives us influence. You're essentially saying, you are making an enemy just to kind of get yourself more resources.
Okay.
You're eliminating a potential ally.
By making a stance, you are still taking an action.
We can essentially do what we did RP-wise for Macedon, and just point at a guy and go, "We don't like you.
Okay, yeah.
Your days are numbered."
Hey, we're not coming to attack you. This isn't a declaration of war, but it is a declaration of intent, maybe?
Yeah, no, you're essentially turning... I guess denouncing would be a good word for it. It's like, imagine if you could denounce someone and it kind of just sticks for as long as you want it to stick.
Okay. This is just our going like, look, whatever they're doing, we don't like it. And we want to make sure that we want to make sure the world knows we don't like it. So if other people don't like it, we can all talk about how we don't like it together.
We've got our first slave abduction.
Woo!
All right, they've got a lot more people there, but yeah, we've just got our first slave. They've been shipped to Earth, and now they're going to be doing our work for us. Now we just did some genome mapping. Oh, hey, you know what? What better to go with slaves than a slave processing facility? Get that researched. We do not want these
really
slaves
put that
to get
cart
up
before the horse, didn't we?
Yeah.
We've got all these slaves, but we have no idea how to process
Well,
them.
luckily we have this empty building slot, so once it's researched, we can immediately put it down. All right. Yep. Little Lavis, just right there. So at the moment, only one demographic can grow. At the moment, it's picked humanity, but it will switch gears on its own if it wants. These people are docile. So it may actually be worth shifting these guys over to almost the same level as we have humans, just so we can put them places that don't hurt our empire sprawl.
Speaking my language.
Yeah, because the sprawl is something that we're going to have to constantly combat throughout the entire game. Because if it ends up turning red, everything gets worse. Like, our research will go more slowly. That's the first thing that comes to mind, because it's the thing that always pops up in my face when I'm trying to get research done. But essentially, your nation breaks down because it's not able to handle the administrative load.
I'm just excited that our vampires are going to, we encourage diversity among our slave ranks.
Everyone gets a biting.
Yes! Equal opportunity chomps.
Oh wow, it's already been an hour and a half. Time flies when you're trying to explain Stellaris.
Hey man, first one's always going to be dense. There's a lot to go over, and this game seems like it just keeps adding things as it grows.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I don't disagree with calling it a 4X game, but I choose to call it grand strategy because it just takes so much of this density and turns it into a, do you want to influence a foreign empire to fight your battles for you while slowly taking them over and indoctrinating them with your ideas so you can form an alliance with them later, an official one, and a federate? It's that. It's like, you want to do that, you can do that, but it makes us shove so many different cogs into the game that when you first see it, it makes your head spin.
And I'm the kind of player who usually opts to go for like a path of least resistance early on. So when this is like just constantly throwing like, hey, do you want to do this? Like, which for like many situations you very much might not need to. I am just like, there's so many things here. I just want to know how I can conquer space quickly, or make everybody in space my friend, whatever I'm feeling like that day.
Well, that's when you have those kind of civics you can pick when you're making your species that limit the diplomacy options. Like, if you want to be the Borg, you can pick civics where you're pretty much eliminating all of the diplomacy, and every time you take over a planet, you're slowly just turning them all into cyborgs.
It is straightforward.
Yes,
I do
definitely.
like a straightforward approach.
It takes cogs out of the game because you came to the game like, I want to be the Borg. The game goes, okay, you know what you're taking out of the equation by being the Borg? You nod, it gives you the cogs, and you kind of just have to still figure it out.
Yeah. But there are so many options. There's so many more things you could do.
Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to say when it's like Civ, but there's just stuff. There's more
but
of
with
it.
a lot of pluses.
Yes. Civ on crack. Civ plus plus plus.
Yeah.
Get that 1983. Wow. No, that's not right. It's 1984. What am I thinking? It's not like I read that book once a year. The audiobook on Audible is actually pretty good.
I know I read it in like... I feel like that was one of the first books in high school that I read that I really enjoyed, like for school, and was like, I want to read this. Like I know we were only assigned chapters 2 through whatever, but I'm just gonna keep going because I'm enjoying this book. And that was a weird revelation for 15-year-old Grant, learning that learning could be fun.
Ooh, this one looks like a pretty good system. 2 colonizable planets.
Take it.
Continental. If there isn't a... Ooh, it's big, too. 23 districts.
We found ourselves a giant apartment complex for our human slaves.
Forget trying to pitch over to get that ocean world. Let's take Salino. So once you're done over there, I need you to go over here.
We found this gem out in outer space.
This is going to be a difficult cluster to keep in the Empire, though, if like we expand over here. Maybe not. There's just one choke point if we get far enough. Because in order to get to it, we have to make sure this stays open. The ISS Cathode report first appeared on our scanner. Oh, hey, they found the junk ball from Futurama.
Yo! Just a big asteroid of trash.
Yeah, it would appear this nation was an interstellar littoral ejecting dangerous industrial waste into orbit rather than disposing of it planet-side. Oh, so they, instead of just launching it into deep space, they launched it into space. You know, as long as we can get around it.
Leave it there. No, that sounds like, honestly, that's probably what my here's how we're going to clean up the Earth initiative would have looked at age 12. Just throw it in space. Just build a really big rocket. Put it on it.
All right,
blow it up in the atmosphere. It'll be fine. It'll all catch on fire.
Go ahead and move over here. I think so. What my goal is now is to kind of create the first natural frontiers of the Empire. I'm going to try and find these single choke points and claim them, and then maybe come back in and claim the systems like these two, some of these.
So basically block the major pathways for other people and then fill in our gaps.
Just to make sure another empire can't send a construction ship to start claiming bits and
forward
pieces
settling.
Yeah, I definitely. This cluster looks pretty good. This cluster down here, this cluster. These definitely look like good natural frontiers for our first expansion.
MSU Bill, yes, you are thinking like Child Grant. Just build a giant gun that shoots it into space.
Okay, I can't wait anymore. Yeah, survey that. And survey that. And then do the rest of the system. Because if this is a primitive planet, I think I'm going to redirect our fleet to like, okay, forget slowly whittling down these guys. I want you to empty that planet now. That's prime real estate for our human cows.
Location, 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 you guys!
Exactly. Alright, let's bump this up to fastest. See if we can't get some progress here.
Did I hear something like over the weekend, maybe something about us finding water on the moon? Was that last week?
That was a little while ago, but yeah, I think using some sort of like subsurface detection, they were able to see that it was actually water on. Oh hey, we found a space dragon.
What is that?
Yeah, space dragon.
The Ether Drake? Oh man.
This creature observed in the barista system is unlike anything I think we might lose the salt is salty has previously encountered. Highly aggressive with a destructive capabilities match. It guards a planetoid that initial scans indicate is exceptionally resource rich. Okay. So,
oh, it's a fucking treasure dragon.
Yeah, hold on. I want to turn this down to slowest. Stop.
All right, how do we turn this thing into a vampire?
Okay. Yeah, so at the moment, the science ship is going, because it's set to evasive, so if it runs into something that's hostile, it immediately turns around and runs away. But here's our
Ah, man.
dragon. And
It's
the
like a
planet it's
squid.
guarding... Dragons... Oh, hey, yeah, no, it's even called a dragon. Dragon's Horde. That's probably it right there.
Yes! The molten
Oh,
world
wow.
full of resources.
30 for both, and we've only been seeing single digits for these so far. So yeah, this is definitely a system worth getting if we can kill the dragon.
Look, what if we just have the dragon start chasing one of our units, and then we take that to a neighboring
I think we're about to watch
system?
the end of Salt is Salty.
No!
Can it get away? Salt is
Flee!
Salty, can you get away?
Flee, damn you!
Oh no!
What is that?
Dear
God!
Wait, it's not dead yet.
Keep running, you fools! We conquered our planet. Well, this won't scare us. This is nothing.
Jump away! Oh no, he died.
No!
Mamoris Secundus died when the Salt is Salty was destroyed by the
Damn
Ether
it.
Drake. Well, we now know that this cluster is protected.
There be dragons!
Oh, contact Port Leviathan. Thanks, game. Like, we didn't realize that. News of a giant being seen in the dark void of space is spreading across the Empire like a plague. There is concern and optimistic wonder. What? Didn't you see what happened to Salt is Salty? But mostly
We
brings
found a
an
new god to worship.
but mostly brings an existential dread to the populace. Historical documents record this day as one of tremendous importance. We are but motes of dust. that
I'm trying
eat
to
other
imagine like
motes.
Dio or Dracula, like these very cool, like, you know, these vampires who, other than like usually in their final moments, never seem to let things get to them. And then just like, sir, there's a dragon head in space, and it just vaporized like our strongest ship. What do we do, sir? How would Dio respond to such a claim? Just fuck. Great.
Looks like there's something on that continental board that's going to make it harder to... Unstable tectonics. Tough it out, guys. You've had earthquakes on Earth. That's why we call them that. Alright, how's this fleet doing? Let's reinforce. Ah, just in time to get more slaves. Turn that into mineral production. So the thing is, important to note is... That's neat. Obviously, all these things produce important stuff, but you have to make sure you're not wasting money on building and upkeeping stuff that nobody can work in. So you always want to make sure the available jobs number isn't too high, because we could be like really strapped for energy credits, but no one is working the technician jobs because we have too many of these jobs down here. I can prioritize it, but it's just always important to note that you never want this number to be too high unless you're expecting this pop number to really grow, which, you know, enslaving pops would do that. But you're wasting money upkeeping districts that aren't doing anything. Alright, we have a new science ship. The Salt is Salty had a short life, but it is gone. So, let's get a new
You will be
ship
missed.
name.
Start throwing your names. I'm looking in chat. Roast grief with the Dr. Acula.
Feels like a good name for a scientist.
Well, he named his science ship after him.
Like that, or just the DR for...
I mean, he did have just the DR, but I kind of think it's funny if it's just spelled out. I want to make sure that
Player's
everyone knows how to
choice.
say it properly. Roast Grief also says they're fine with it.
Perfect. Alright, let's go back to our fleet manager, because I want to make sure... Yeah, let's make this 10-10. Alright, and you need a new scientist. Now, all of these are research focused. I guess I'll get the Medicus Sulpicus.
Build it.
Hopefully that's the only Leviathan we run in. I find it very fitting that we ran into the dragon. In my test run, I just ran into the Enigmatic Fortress, which is just a big space station that just sits there and shoots at you. So I'm glad we got the more interesting Leviathan this time.
So will that thing just kind of hang out in that system, and it's just like if we ever go in there, it's going to start attacking?
We don't have to worry about it leaving, but if we want to get at that nice system, we have to kill it.
Gotcha.
How am I queuing up surveys? Hold down the shift key while giving orders. There is a technology you can research later that just lets you, automatic exploration. But sometimes they're dumb. Like, if they're too close to, say, this system, after I queue that up, they'll fly into it, despite knowing that the Drake's there. So I don't like doing that too often.
They'll be like, this seems like a quick way through, and then the Drake...
Oh no! They just run into the wreck of the Salted Salty.
Wait a minute! There was something on my charts about going this way.
Oh right, do not. So that's what the Here Be Dragons meant on the map. I thought they were just kidding.
I really thought they left that up to interpretation and it meant something else.
Are you guys playing multiplayer? No, we are playing. This is pretty much a ruling council, like we did for the Civ 6 game.
This being like active time, though. Although I guess how does time speed work? Now that I think about it, with multiplayer. So I was gonna say it being active time makes that sound a bit more attractive than Civ did to me.
I've never played multiplayer. I think it's set to a base rate that everyone agrees on, and if they need to change it, they have to like vote.
Okay.
I'm not sure. The one multiplayer game I'm watching has one guy control the time speed, and he's like the host of this weird tournament thing. Host controls speed. There you go. So whoever
host
makes
just
the
gets
game
to be god of
controls
time.
it. Yep. Kronos.
I'm just gonna set this onto super fast, and you guys just get to see what you can do. Bye.
Yep. Pray you don't make any mistakes. Have fun in the ship designer while years tick by.
Yeah. Well, it took our best engineers 10 billion years to come up with this design, but I think we're ready to launch our first spaceship.
Oh, and then we all desync. Yeah, no, I guess the lag would really hamper that. Let's see. What's the first contact protocol for all AI empires? Currently, it's set to peaceful. By default, it was, what a weird picture. Like, look at this. It's so grandiose, and it's like abandoned amusement park.
Check it out. We found this big amusement park. They like to look at angel statues.
Wait, this is just a slide. This is a water slide. Regardless, to us vamps, it looks mostly like a place where you would take your young and let them amuse themselves. Oh, Lord. So this is what alien Disneyland looks like.
Here, play on the tombs of these dead planets. We were building a lot of water parks and entertainment complexes in Civ, so we're no strangers to fun.
LX brings up, dude, could you imagine if the Jesus Wants a Hug statue had a water slide on it? This is actually a pretty good system too. Look at those numbers, so big.
That is some good yields.
And this system is taking forever to survey. Are you done yet? Oh, I probably told you to research that. The mineral cluster, holographic record. Okay. Well, I want that system to get surveyed so I can set it up as a frontier.
One sassy Moogle. They found a horrific temple to the old god with fountains and slides of blood. To the vampires, it was clearly an amusement park.
I like that. I like that a lot. She clearly misunderstood the point.
Look at this. It's full of torture devices. Oh, the children must love this place.
I'm playing this time around. I figured it was pretty fitting for Grant to start us off with the Civ 6, and I can move us into Stellaris.
Yeah, I am very unfamiliar with this game. I've only touched it a handful of times.
What DLCs do you have installed? All of them, as far as I'm aware. I know Paradox unleashed like 12 content packs for this thing now. I think I have all of them, because I only got the game when Federation came out, and that was not too long ago. All right, exotic gases. All right, so now we have more resources. I hid this from you because they even decided to hide it from me for a while. But there are now a whole bunch of like special resources that like
for all the specific stuff you might need.
Remember when it was like, oh, these are general stuff? Well, here's the specifics. Some of the stuff you may not even discover until the late game, like dark matter. But it's here, just in case.
But we have it. Just to give the chat an update on what my Stellaris playtime looked like. The last time I played was May 15th, 2016. And my total playtime was 3.5 hours. So my knowledge of the game is very minimum. And a lot of it has probably changed since then.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I remember I didn't have the game at that point, but I was interested enough that I followed the news for it. It used to be alloys didn't exist in this game. It was just you built stuff with minerals. I don't know why they moved to insert alloys in the game and create that extra layer of resource management, but they did. So Paradox, the game you get at release is not, I wouldn't say it's not an unfinished product, but it can still change.
It's definitely
a
not
lot.
in its final form.
Yeah. All right, coil gun. 40 months. All right, let's go ahead and boost general engineering research. I think that's time. We've got more slaves. Probably shouldn't sound so happy about that. Let's see, our food is falling behind, so let's get more agriculture. Oh, that went up. So it looks like we're gonna have to wait 2 more years before we can start managing our slaves a bit better. Servants is better, I guess. Technically, the humans are indentured servants, so the word is very fitting, but the people we're taking from Blooming Fields are slaves. Probably, at this rate, we're probably going to free up the planet in a decade. Especially if we keep buffing the fleet as it sits up here.
This is our 10-year plan.
We eat you at the end of the 10 years. Alright, if that's still taking a while, I'll go back and build some mining stations.
Well, our weird, blobby empire has shifted shape considerably since we started.
It has, yeah, and like I've kind of sped us to these interesting planets here, so it's not even fully exploited yet. Oh, hey, finally. All right, cancel that order. Oh, okay. See, and this is when you kind of want rivalries and whatnot to bump up your influence. You can start claiming stuff faster. All right, I thought I told you. Pop-ups. Wish you have a blocker for them.
You can't stop pop-ups in space.
Now, you see, after we researched that new type of gun, we could upgrade the fleet, but in order to do that, they'd have to jump back to Sol, so I'm not doing that yet. I think unless something we can technically beat, not like the dragon, shows up, that fleet's going to be sticking over Blooming Fields for quite some time. And then it's going to move to Beta Centauri, which, despite how the Forexod may call their planet, I'm going to just call them simps. Hey, Serrano, that's not too far off the mark.
Yeah, we're close. The simp race. Kindleish suggests you can just invade the planet with a ground army and avoid all the new colonization penalties. It's way faster than bombarding, which takes forever.
The problem
is that a thing?
is, if I bring them into the Empire like that, they have a penalty because I've technically uplifted them. Because if I invade them and the pop is still here, there's a big penalty to how they adapt to the new technology I'm bringing. Honestly, I think it's better to empty out the planet and then make a new colony, especially if by the time I do it, I shift over to the expansion tree. Or maybe this is really suboptimal in a way I'm not thinking. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going, like, the banner over this is going to be, Quinn knows Stellaris, but he's not good at Stellaris. So,
Much like me with Civ.
yeah, the archive, much like the Among Us videos, I will be reading the archive comments, and if you've played like a big slave-holding empire before, and you think I'm totally screwing this up, let me know. I may change things up later.
I just like seeing our little star map expand as our empire grows.
Yeah, you know, I think if we I may give you like a taste of what this can turn into right before we end the stream by showing you what the test game I have looks like.
What a possible future could hold for the vamps in space.
Exactly. All right. Let's see. Our empire sprawl is getting pretty big, so let's shift over to civilian.
Andy Red, Team 4-star going full vampire for the rest of this cursed year would be quite adequate. Team Fang Stars or Team 4 Stakes? I think I'm a fan of Team Fang Stars, but 4
Really,
Stakes
I
is
like
not bad
Team
at all.
4 Stakes. Maybe that's too anti-vampire, but it seems like it just rolls off the tongue better.
Not enough things slip Fang into it. Yeah, and then we could be Fangsters.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, Team 4 Stakes is the rival crew of vampire hunters. Alternate timeline of JoJo Part 5, where instead of being gang stars, Giovanni becomes a vampire, and now he's a Fang star, and that's how he'll fix the crime underworld through his father's vampirism.
Another good thing I noticed, another neat thing I noticed is that a planet always has these little features to it, and if you start with Earth, you get all these nice little things, like the Boston-Washington metropolitan area. The Boswash riots traumatized an entire generation and led to sweeping legal reforms. Never forget.
Huh.
Saharan irrigation product, the Scandinavian Reclamation Center. Apparently at some point Scandinavia got irradiated.
Well, okay. You know, we did nuke that one city-state.
Oh,
when
no.
Scandinavia was around there.
It's also the Great Pacific. You know, it has some like real-world stuff. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which you can actually clean up. And if you clean this stuff up, you free up districts.
Ah, okay.
Now, it's very easy for Earth. Like we already have all the technology to fix this. But if we went to another planet, another colony, we may have to have some extra society text to terraform it. That's going to take a while to build.
Let it grow.
All right. I still want to focus on getting energy credits because that was the last. When I ran the test game, I was starved for energy credits for a while, and it's looking pretty low right now. The upkeep in all these bases is probably what's going to get me, or the massive fleet. 22 credits are going just to the ship upkeep.
We need to make sure everybody knows we're powerful, though.
Exactly, and that's why I'm making sure that the extra district we build on Earth is a generator district. Gonna have a whole lot of slaves working in the generators. It's the giant hamster wheel.
Gotta spend blood to eat blood.
Man, I was hoping we'd at least meet one more Empire before we had to end the stream. Come on, Stellaris. Don't disappoint our fans.
Show us space mastodons so we can denounce them and eat them, and maybe incorporate their religion to our lore.
Wait, unable to build the starbase. Oh, I already spent the influence, didn't I? Alright, well, build the research station. Actually, go over here and build some mining stations. How's this going? Are you winning, fleet?
What are we doing over here, Bloomingfields?
The fun thing is, if you watch the planet long enough, yeah,
See the little...
we're apparently bombing it. Oh, no, I want you to focus on the planet. There we go. And I can do this. And I think, actually, if I go to Earth... Nah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Looks like Earth.
Look at that. Zoom in on that globe. It's a real planet.
It's kind
We
of...
conquered a pretty blue marble, didn't
Yeah.
we, butts?
It's kind of... And it's also kind of weird when you look at it like this. It's kind of hard to believe that the axis is that tilted.
Yeah.
In fact, it looks like it's kind of too tilted with how far north Europe is.
Things have changed over the years.
That's true. I know it does swivel on its axis. That's why Vega isn't the North Star. No, Polaris. I don't know. I think Vega would become the next North Star after so many millennia. Alright, anyway, we finally researched the slave processing facility, so guess what we're going to build on Earth next? Something to keep those slaves in line.
Do it!
There. In fact, speaking of the devil,
frequent
more
Earth has had.
slaves. We're actually going to need another colony soon. We're going to run out of room on Earth for all these slaves.
We've gotten too good at growing our human cattle.
Alright, in fact, once you're done... Actually, we might need another construction ship just to manage all this stuff we got going on. Which means we're going to
Does
have
that
another
mean
name.
another name?
Oh, in fact, you know what? We've been doing a whole lot of systems without getting them names. We've only focused on this area, so let's go back over here by Steril. Let's get some system names before we have to close out the stream.
Looking for a deluge of system names, people. If you're a sub, shout them out. Vagabond plays games. You said North Star a while ago, so I don't know if that was in reference to naming something or if you were just, responding to the Polaris question. All right, we've got... Oh, there we go. Some people coming in. Andy Redv with Star Spleen for this system.
All right, Star Spleen. Oh wow, it even renames the planets. Star Spleen 3. All right, and then Rasnum.
Vagabond says the prolapse system. No, just prolapse system.
Prolapse system, and not prolapse.
Yeah, prolapse system. Yes, system is part of the title. They said. Welcome to the prolapse system.
Oh, another faction. Oh, we don't have like a prolapse system 1. All right. Wow, we can just Peggle.
All right, give me another name, folks. Kasirith just calls it bread.
Well, we do need a sub.
Oh, you're correct. I didn't notice that. Audio Dragon with Outfield.
All right, and I think we've got 3 more. Cro-Magnon. Cormagion. Cormagan.
All right. Fast-moving target suggests Star Platinum.
That one works. Whoops, not spelled like that. Yeah, now we have low Iolam.
Sylvalis says Frieza Planet 69, but if we're naming a system, we could maybe shift that a little.
Frieza? Maybe just name the system Frieza?
The Frieza. Well, I know they want the number 69 in there, so maybe just Frieza System 69 or something.
All right. What's it gonna name the
they've
planets?
updated to Frieza System 69.
Oh. That doesn't really come out very well.
Frieza 69, System 69V. Look, Frieza's known for his ability to conquer planets, not his ability to organize them.
This is true.
And
Caravan.
catalog. I Heart Ketchup says Door to Darkness. Behold the Door to Darkness.
Door to Darkness 5. Okay, I think that's all of them. Oh, yeah, nope, we have one more.
All right.
Masties.
One more sub. Slip in a title for a system, if you so please. Oh, Neverwhere CM with.
Oh, Gaijin Guba, thank you for the raid.
Oh, thank you. With Renfield Station.
Like this?
That is correct.
Okay, we'll have, I think, one more system before I call it for the night.
Sounds good. Blackfoot Ferret, thank you for the bit, saying Gaijin Raid!
Welcome to our Stellaris playthrough, guys. We are elevating our German vampires to space-veering vampires. Space-veering.
We completed a game of Civ, and after we conquered Earth, we decided we'd take this straight to space. And it's been a semi-uneventful space conquering until we encountered a dragon floating in space. That was pretty alarming.
When we research like space listening posts, we can look back into this system without having to have a ship sacrificed to it. But big dragon here.
This big, scary space dragon. They're real, and they mean business, and they shoot, I'm guessing, lasers out of their mouth.
Yeah, no, it breathes lasers.
It blasted us from a distance that I was not expecting. I thought it was going to have to catch up and eat us.
Maybe, yeah, you know what? I want us to claim Seleno and then colonize whatever we end up naming this system, this continental planet. And then I think that's where we'll end it, unless we run into an alien race.
If someone shows up and interrupts our conquest.
We can name that system Goomba if a sub recommends it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's, more armor is good, but, what? Leave your house so you just live longer. All right.
Well, specifically a sub who hasn't named something already.
Nope, we found a wormhole. So, we don't have the tech for it, but when we do, we'll be able to explore it and find out what part of the galaxy it leads us to.
This wormhole will drop us off in.
Yep. Oh, pretty big system it's in, too. Alright, what? I don't want to leave you idle. Go ahead. Alright, yeah, this is probably for the best. Oh, we found the Zeta aliens.
Ooh!
Alright, hold on. Show me.
Tell us about
That's the center of the galaxy, game. Try again.
We think they're over here somewhere?
Okay, Dastamon. Man, where is that? Okay. There should be a yellow, like, spaceship symbol next to the... Okay, did they just, like, poke their head in and leave? What happened?
Hey, what's up, bud?
Okay, well, I guess we know what to research next, because we can't see them. 12 months. Research the Zeta aliens. Make sure they're not from Gundam. Can we pet the aliens? There are mammalian alien species that kind of look like animals, animal pets. So I guess we'll
I know
find
there's
out.
like bird people.
There's also one that's clearly a kind of rodent that's been infested by a fungus, and the fungus is the sentient species.
Ah, that's cool. I like that a lot. I like the spy G or the P saying it said natural wormhole earlier. Can you make artificial wormholes when you get the tech?
Maybe. I don't know. Well, the thing is, the gateways that already exist in the system could be considered artificial wormholes because they act the same way. But you don't make them. Those are already there. So I do not know. But that's my guess. It's probably not, but that's what they are. Okay, where's the Harahand? Yeah, go to Kumbar, but don't build anything yet. Let's pump up the time. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. And I think it's Utopia that allows you to build gateways. So yes, you can build artificial wormholes. I forgot. It's been a while since I got to that stage of the game. Okay, so once you're done, we'll get a colony ship up and going. Okay. We have established communications with the Tronzaru Corps. They appear to have successfully... Oh, wait, no. They translated our language. All right, okay, well, you maybe can pet that.
This could possibly be pettable.
Yeah, the Tronzu Corps, the intelligent research link, they are machine intelligence, and they don't really have a government.
They don't appear to have a neck to bite.
Yeah, leaders are immortal. They do not grow, but are built.
Like the mighty Barbossa.
How would we like to respond? It's not like we declare war at the outset, but it kind of sets the tone. We
like
serve Kaiser Barbarossa.
Like, we know what we want. Don't you come in here with your ideas.
Oh dear. Oh dear. We found the border. Yeah, they're right up against us right now.
Ooh. Okay. And I'm guessing we will fight for our right to exist. Is that like a, hey, we're ready to fight. We're not saying we're aggressive, but if you do something, we're not. Yeah. We're not here to just bend over for you.
Yep, that's it exactly.
Okay. Ooh.
It essentially it means the first message you send is governed by whatever ethics. So like this is because we're fanatical authoritarians, because we're militarists, because we're both.
I'm kind of in favor of the both, but
all right. We will fight for our right
to you if you
to
feel
exist,
strongly for another.
Tronzaru. All right, let's take a look at them. Get rid of the primitives. Okay, so their tech is superior, but their fleet and economic power is equivalent to ours, which is probably surprise, surprise, the machine species knows more than we do. I'm going to. Wasn't there like a desert planet here that was colonizable? What happened to it? Oh, it's still here, but it's in their space, so it disappeared for us. All right. I'm going to have to retask some of our constructors. Yeah, we want to make sure this system is built for us as soon as possible. Are you already building your starbase? Okay, good. Because if we can at least make a single choke point where we have to fight them, the better. Oh good, we found a mural. Oh, okay.
Our first. Oh, go ahead.
We found we claimed Sileno. So this is not naming the colony we're putting here, but the system it's in.
All right, we need a system name, subs. let fly your name suggestions if you are a subscriber. And if you subscribe now, I will give you preferential treatment because I am a villain and that's how I operate. Ronan of Death saying Goomba. I'm still not sure if I've taken one of the name suggestions before, so I'm going to allow it. Goomba shall be the system.
All right. And Goomba 2, the colony has become, but we can still rename it something else. We can either have it be Goomba Prime or another name.
Ooh.
Ooh,
All
do we
right.
just want to name the colony Gaijin?
I like that. Gaijin of Goomba.
All right. The colony ship is being built.
Goomba Prime was also a good idea, but Gaijin Goomba, I think, fits really well. Was there ever a definitive answer? Was it the forest moon of Endor? Was Endor the planet we were the moon of, or was this moon called Endor?
That seems to be a giant debate. I was still of the opinion that it was the forest moon, and then the planet it was orbiting was called Endor.
Okay. I could definitely see either way, but I think in my mind I always just assumed this place is called Endor. It is a forest moon.
Maybe it's the forest moon of Endor. Oh, that's right. Akbar said it too, and he was always kind of rigid. It could have been this. You know what? I wouldn't argue against it, but I always thought it was orbiting another planet. So it was like Yavin 4. The gas giant it was around was Yavin. But then again, they never. It's not like they ever said the swamp moon of Yavin 4. I don't know. You totally flipped me over, man.
Boom! Surprise!
Blowing my mind. Okay, go ahead and claim that.
Yeah, Psycho Stick, like how our moon, we all refer to it as the barren moon of Earth.
Oh no, they got it. Shit.
Oh, so they took our choke point?
Yeah, now we have to have two systems. You know what? I'm already mad. I'm gonna claim it.
Yes.
I've claimed
hey!
it. So this is
ours.
So if we ever declare war on them to like conquer and whatnot, if we win,
If we say this is the point of contention,
yeah, if we win, we get the system. Also, if we get status quo and we happen to still be holding the system, we get it. But on that frustrating note, I think that is where we're going to end it tonight. What should we call this? I'm going to call it Vamps in Space.
yeah.
But before we leave, I'm going to go ahead and show you the other Eternal Empire.
Oh yeah, so this is what this game kind of looks like a little bit later in the game, correct?
Yeah. So, okay, here we have Sol. Our space station's a bit buffier. Doesn't look like anything really different. But then I click this, and this is our Eternal Empire. Look at all these planets.
That's so cool.
Yeah, remember how we just had Earth up here? Now it's at least 20 planets, and then all of these space stations, and then all of these. Well, there's only 4 fleets because they're pretty big, and all these. Not many. We already have 6 civilian ships. Yeah, no. So this is what I think a mid-game empire looks like. We have a few allies. We're actually in the middle of a war.
That's really cool. I don't think I've ever actually looked into what this game looked like later in the game, but seeing how this map turns out is actually really neat. I like these borders and what they look like.
Let me show you what's one of our super fleets. What do they look like?
Yeah, let's see what our ship's like. Oh, that's so dope.
So this actually has one of our Federation fleets here too, which is something I'll save for later because that's a whole nother. Thanks to one of their expansions, that turned into a whole thing. Also,
Discord definitely starts compressing when we've got this many units to look at for my stream, but it's still
let me
like a cool,
I can
grainy
make
insanity.
I can make it a bit easier. Let me show you what our battleship looks like. So here's one of our battleships. Still that giant maw.
Yep, just the big open mouth coming
Yeah.
straight for you.
It's hard to see the scale because you can't see with other ships. We have these tiny little windows compared to, say, like our Corvette, which,
You're all ants to us.
yeah, had like 3 decks. But yeah, so this is what our Stellaris stream will probably become if we don't get curve stomped by these robot squids.
We can only hope. How does a vampire beat a robotic squid?
We tamed them. We already were looking for death robots.
It's true. Maybe they could help us out with our robot conundrum as we eat their slimy innards.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. I hope I know this was very dense, but I hope it was a good starting off point for a nice Stellaris game.
I feel like I learned a lot and I had a good time. Thank you for playing, Quinn.
All right. Well, you guys can join us tomorrow at 3 for the Talkcast Pod Show, where Nick and Scott, I think with another guest, but I'm not sure if they've been confirmed, so I don't want to spoil it yet. We'll be discussing, the Greater Terran Union. Stellar Invicta was pretty good too. Off comment. But anyway, they'll be discussing The Mandalorian tomorrow, which just had its 2nd season start. And then on Thursday, more Among Us.
Hey, everybody
Grant
loves it.
and Kieran will actually be taking a bit of a break, so we'll have a couple of special guests joining us.
Rotating some guests in while Kieran and I work on some other projects we've been putting off to be on streams.
Yeah, well, I hope you all have a great night, all things considered. Let's see if there's anybody we can send you guys off to.
Yes.
I do not have the right window open for that. Grant, do you happen to see anyone streaming?
Let me pull that up. I should probably be logged in as Stream 4 Star. It looks like Taka's streaming, though.
Oh, yeah, it looks like Taka. Ooh, it looks like he's watching Clone High.
Ooh.
That looks like fun. Let's send you over to Taka.
You will probably, I'm assuming, needing a Prime sub to watch that? I guess I don't really know how he's doing it.
I could see it on the stream preview, but I do have Prime, so I'm not sure.
Well, either way, we will send you that way and hope for the best. If you can't watch it due to lacking a Prime sub, thank you anyway for watching the stream.
All right, I'm sending you guys over. Let's have the raid message be something simple. Vamps in space.
Yes.
All right. You all have a great night.
Night, everybody.